For over 20 years, 2 elections, 34 trophies, 1 club, 1 president, the most successful president in the history of Real Madrid, Florentino Pérez Rodriguez. This name is a common one, where in the world of football, most people try to be a part of what is happening on the pitch. This person controls the game, smoking a cigarette, sitting in the stands, for seasons, for years, for decades. So as football fans, we talk about the greatest football players, we talk about the greatest football managers, but today we will talk about the greatest club president in the history of football. But before knowing how Florentino Pérez became such a big name in the world of football, it is important for you to know who is Florentino Pérez Rodriguez. In 8th of March 1947, Florentino Pérez was born in a middle-class family of Madrid, but he was born in a family of businessmen. Yes, businessman's family, and probably because of this family environment, Florentino Pérez was able to dictate his future career. But initially, Florentino Pérez was far away from the business world. He had also attended a film school where if he had stayed for a little longer, he would have been doing Thomas Shelby-type roles in films.
Already broken.
But then he finally decided to pass civil engineering. And the most interesting part is Florentino Pérez probably starts from here. His disciplines in the university included technical precision and large-scale planning. Example, concentrating on plans which are to be made over a long duration. Yes, I know the windows of your mind have already opened, but friends, hold on. Strategic vision, long-term planning, efficient resource management. These are all the things which he studied during his college time. But just after completing his studies, Florentino Pérez entered the world of politics, and he was present at almost every sector in Spain: technological development, transport, infrastructure, Ministry of Agriculture. In the next 15 years, Florentino Pérez was working in all these industries at the ministry level. And at the same time he started his own business, he became the main shareholder in a very big construction company of Madrid. And later on, Florentino Pérez became the CEO and chairman of ACS, which was one of the biggest construction companies in the world. And as you must know, because of all these things, he is a billionaire. But all this was about Florentino Pérez's personal life, and all this is very important. It was important to know about him, because later on you will get to know how Florentino Pérez used all these things to run Real Madrid for many years. But this is where the love story of Real Madrid and Florentino Pérez begins. It was in 1995 that Florentino Pérez first ran for the presidency of Real Madrid after settling down in business and exiting politics. But he lost to Ramon Mendos in those elections. Since the club had won only 1 significant La Liga title in the last 5 years and was becoming financially weak, Mendos had to resign in place of him. Lorenzo Santos, who was the director of the club, before becoming the new president. But Florentino Pérez was an inside-out Real Madrid fan, so obviously he was going to try again, and he was waiting for the right opportunity. And in just 4 seasons under Lorenzo, Real Madrid wins 1 La Liga title and 2 Champions Leagues. After winning the Champions League in 1999 and 2000, Lorenzo feels that if he holds the elections before the due date, he is guaranteed to win. Real Madrid has won the Champions League twice in the last 3 seasons, and he is in a very strong position to win the Champions League once again. But he was wrong. Florentino Pérez stands in the elections once again, and obviously, he could not promise anything big to the fans, sportingly, because he was already coming off 2 Champions League wins in the last 3 seasons. So this time, he highlights those things about the club in front of the fans, which the president had been hiding before, that how Real Madrid won the Champions League. Despite the fact that the team is not able to fill its stadium, its average attendance is falling season after season. It's like the fans don't care, that even if their team is winning on the field, they are not coming to watch the matches. The second thing that Pérez highlighted was the economic stance of the club. Real Madrid, despite being so successful for sport, is still in debt of $500 million, a debt that if not cleared in time, the bank could get corrupted. But while both these matters are very important in themselves, Florentino Pérez makes a third promise to the people. One of the greatest players in football at that time was Luis Figo, and he was playing for Real Madrid's biggest arch rivals, for Barcelona. He was an ordinary player. He was their leader, their main man, their best football player. So Florentino Pérez promised a Real Madrid fan that if he becomes president of Real Madrid, he will sign Luis Figo from Barcelona. Big lose their mind. They don't care about their empty stadium and economic structure. They want Luis Figo. Real Madrid was coming after winning 2 Champions League titles in the last 3 seasons, so telling their fans that if I become president, I will show you more success was kind of useless. Here, Florentino Pérez promised Real Madrid fans the use of power. He wasn't signing Luis Figo because the team needed him. He was signing Luis Figo because he wanted to humiliate Barcelona. Everyone was thinking that Florentino Pérez was telling a lie to come to power. Even when Luis Figo was asked if this was true, Luis Figo denied it in front of everyone. Granted, he's a Barcelona player and will stay there, but in the next interview, Florentino Pérez drops another big bomb when he promises everyone that if he is not able to sign Luis Figo, then he will pay the membership fees of 80,000 Real Madrid members in the upcoming elections next year.
Luis Figo, jugador del Real Madrid.
Florentino Pérez wins the election with 94% votes, and guess what? Real Madrid signs Luis Figo. This one football transfer causes riots in Spain. Next time El Clásico, Barcelona versus Real Madrid, is on the campaign, the football fans welcome Luis Figo in such a way that if anyone else witnesses it, they might suicide on the feed. And during all this, Florentino Pérez is sitting in the stands and just laughing. Now, in this situation, you will have a very genuine question. Why Luis Figo join Real Madrid if he was having a great time at Barcelona? Once again, Florentino Pérez was a smart businessman. He cut a deal with Luis Figo, where he gave him $1.5 million before the elections. The deal was that if Florentino Pérez loses his elections, then Luis Figo can keep that $1.5 million as a gift. But if Florentino Pérez wins the elections, then Luis Figo will have to join Real Madrid. And if he refuses to join Real Madrid, then he will have to pay $35 million. Luis Figo's buyout clause is triggered. A world record transfer is executed, but this was just the beginning. Florentino Pérez promised the fans that he is going to build a team of Galacticos, meaning Jingasenkan in Japanese, which translates to galactic battleships. He promised to sign a world-class player at the start of each season and build a team of the best football players on planet Earth. Luis Figo in 2000, Zinedine Zidane in 2001, Ronaldo in 2002, David Beckham in 2003. Florentino Pérez was delivering what he had promised. The first 3 seasons under him, Real Madrid's average attendance had doubled. Even financially, it was built on the exact position where Real Madrid used to train. By selling the training camp, Florentino Pérez not only paid off Real Madrid's entire debt, but also used the money to build a training camp 5 times bigger than the previous one on the outside of the city, where land was cheaper in cost. The next thing Florentino Pérez did was not only bring in superstars and fill the stadium again, but also greatly increase Real Madrid's marketing ability. Real Madrid began touring the world. Their international brand value increased, and as they kept signing players, their marketing revenue increased. In just 4 seasons, Real Madrid's marketing revenue had quadrupled. Even on the field, Real Madrid won 2 La Liga titles and a Champions League title in the next 3 seasons. Real Madrid fans made Florentino Pérez their leader. The club was now out of debt. It was sportingly successful. The stadium was fuller than before, and more revenues being generated. Real Madrid was settled for life. But then came the drought. Real Madrid did not win a single trophy in the next 3 seasons. Their Galacticos project, which aimed to dominate Europe for the next 10 years, had failed. And there was only one reason for that: Florentino Pérez. Florentino Pérez was obsessed with attackers, and because of this obsession, he was neglecting the defense completely. When Real Madrid won the league in 2003, the most important player for keeping theme was defensively solid on the pitch was Claude Makelele. He had one demand from Pérez: a raise in salary. Makelele wasn't just a key player for Real Madrid, but also considered one of the best defensive midfielders in the world at the time. His presence allowed Real Madrid to deploy so many attacking players on the field. However, Makelele was one of the lowest paid players on the team. When he complained to Perez about wanting a salary increase, Florentino Pérez denied it. As a result, Claude Makélélé left Real Madrid for Chelsea in the coming season. This wasn't the only misstep. Managerial decisions also played a role. Vicente Del Bosque, the manager who managed all the egos in the team during their successful period, reportedly wasn't consulted on some signings made by Perez. Just a week after winning the league in 2003, Del Bosque, the manager who was instrumental in Real Madrid's on-field performance, was unexpectedly let go. With the departure of Makélélé and Del Bosque, Real Madrid's on-field performance dropped drastically. Over the next 3 trophyless seasons, Florentino Pérez brought in 5 different managers in the hope of fixing things, but it proved futile. Following these on-field failures, Florentino Pérez resigned as president of Real Madrid in 2006. Interestingly, the team he built, despite Perez's departure, went on to win the La Liga title the very next season. There were also reports during this era that Florentino Pérez rejected the signing of Ronaldinho, a player who would become a world beater simply because he didn't fit a certain image. Under the new president, Ramon Calderón, Real Madrid's financial situation began to deteriorate again. Allegations of corruption and mismanagement plagued his tenure. The team continued to underperform in the Champions League, being eliminated in the round of 16 for 6 consecutive seasons. Within 3 years of Perez's departure, Real Madrid was back in significant debt. Fans, yearning for the success of the Perez era, saw only one solution: Florentino Pérez's return. In June 2009, he began his second term as president, a period that would solidify him as the most successful president in Real Madrid's history. This time, instead of selling assets like the training ground to pay off debt, Perez took on more loans. This financial risk would be justified by the team's future success on the field. Florentino Pérez's return to Real Madrid in 2009 marked a turning point for the club. He implemented a new strategy, building a balanced team with top talent, which led to a period of European dominance. Real Madrid secured a record-breaking 4 Champions League titles in 5 years under his leadership. Financially, Pérez's business expertise ensured the club's status as a powerhouse, allowing them to attract the world's best players. He revived the Galactico concept, but with a twist. These star signings like Cristiano Ronaldo and Luka Modric were not just superstars, but also tactically sound, fitting seamlessly into the team's system. This period also saw the renovation of the Santiago Bernabéu Stadium, transforming it into a modern facility that generated even more revenue. However, Pérez's reign is not without controversy. The Galactico strategy relied heavily on debt, a risky move that could have backfired. Critics also argue that he prioritizes marketability over pure talent, and some signings may have been motivated more by commercial appeal than on-field contributions. Additionally, his decision to ban the Ultrasur fan group, known for their passionate support sometimes bordering on violence, strained relations with some fans. Despite the controversy, there's no denying the impact Pérez has had on Real Madrid. He transformed them into a financial giant and a dominant force in European football. The Godfather of Real Madrid, love him or hate him, Florentino Pérez is a transformative figure in Real Madrid's history. He transformed them into a global brand, a sporting powerhouse, and a financial juggernaut. His impact on the club and the sport of football is undeniable. He has earned the nickname El Padrino, the Godfather, for his control and influence over Real Madrid. But a question: Real Madrid, such a powerful club that most of players wish to join. But why Ronaldo left Real Madrid?